Hopefully I don't have to, oh no, looks like it's working. I was gonna say, hopefully I don't have to restart the stream, but I don't think I do. Sending data. Broadcast link. All right, now we're live on YouTube, I think. Yep. All right, we're live everywhere. All the announcements are out. If you're wondering where Mitch is, he is not in town at the so this is gonna be a little solo stream, but we are doing an impromptu launch party of LeoDex V2, which is now live. So if you go to LeoDex.io, you will see the new and improved LeoDex. This will be a pretty quick live stream. I just wanted to do, and I know we usually do our live streams on Tuesdays, but I just wanted to do a quick live stream to showcase, all the new and improved LeoDex features. Sorry, let me get this Threadcast updated. All right, got that updated. Why isn't this full screen? Whatever. That should work fine. All right, well, at least you can see everything. So the, LeoDex V2 is about more than just, like a new interface. As you can see, it actually looks pretty similar to LeoDex V1. That's what we were going for. It's intended to be like an upgraded, new and improved version, but not like a full, not necessarily like a new UI, right? Like it's just meant to be better in every possible way. So we refactored and redesigned the entire interface, but we kept things like structurally very similar, because if you use LeoDex V1, we want the transition to V2 to be seamless. So effectively, it's just like, okay, I'm getting, like the next iteration effectively, which is it's faster, better, performs better, has more features, and generally is like structurally more sound. So I would look at it that way when it comes to LeoDex V2. We've been working on this for a couple months now, because like I said, it is a full rebuild from the ground up. So rebuilding from the ground up means really redoing everything essentially. So we kind of like went down to the studs, so to speak, and then rebuilt from there. So all of these changes kind of mount into being just an overall better experience from a UI UX perspective, and then also building on a better framework so that when we make updates in the future, we can make them faster, and we can improve things, whether it's bug fixes or just generally adding new features and things like that. LeoDex has always been, I think, the fastest UI in the industry in terms of adding new features and things like that. Like right now, I think we're one of the only ThorChain interfaces that has rapid swaps enabled. That came out like in the last week. So most interfaces will take a few weeks to add things, but we tend to add things obviously a lot faster. So rapid swaps are already live in V2. So if you want to do rapid swaps on ThorChain, I think we're either the only one or maybe one of like 2 or 3 interfaces that have it as of now. So we were already like the fastest interface to adding stuff, and that's kind of what I pride the team on, is like what can we do to always be on top of the newest feature releases, routes, protocols, and things like that, because we want to be the best user experience. That's our entire thing, is how can we be the best user experience in the cross-chain space. And in my opinion, a key way to do that is to always have the latest and best features that give users the best swaps and most efficient routes in real time. So that's always been a critical thing for us. And with LeoDex V2, we introduced something called Agent in the Loop, which is not something we invented. It's something that really, I think any company that wants to be in the software game going forward needs to have as like a top priority, which is to have agentic coding and agentic innovation as a critical part of your building process. So there were two reasons why we set out to do LeoDex V2. I mean, there were a lot of reasons, but two main ones. One of them is agent in the loop. So we want to be able to build things with AI, with agents, and that required having a better framework, a better foundation for LeoDex, where agents can actually be in the loop. They can contribute code. They can do pull requests. So that's kind of how the process works. Is agents are in the loop. They're detecting bugs. They're also scouting for new potential features. And they're also collecting feedback from users, when you guys open feedback tickets. And then the agents in the loop are then utilizing all that context to submit pull requests every single day. So every single day, our team has all these different pull requests, whether it's new features or, reported bugs or, X, Y, and Z. The agents are making those pull requests, and then our team of humans are able to review those pull requests, obviously like pull them in locally. Then we can run our battle testing on them, manually and automated testing, make sure that the iteration is ready for production. And then what we do is we actually push it to beta, and then we test it more in beta. And there's obviously other humans in the kind of beta testing group, and anyone in the beta testing group is able to test those features. And then once we're happy with those, the features and how they're working, then we push them from beta to production. So our pipeline has been dramatically improved because we've, in the past, have just, we built stuff, we pushed it to beta. Obviously, you have humans doing all the coding. And then from beta, we would test for, a couple of weeks sometimes, depending on how complex the feature was. And then we would push from beta to production when we were happy. So, excuse me, now we have an agent in the loop before the beta process even happens, where the agent is actually helping us submit the pull request. Then we get things into beta much faster. And then once it's in beta, you have humans and agents. So we've actually built autonomous agents that work specifically on beta in order to test all of the new features and how they interact with other features on the UI that are pre-existing and things like that, and looking for edge cases and all sorts of things. They're running, thousands of simulations every single day. So they're doing smoke tests. They actually have legitimate wallets. So we've actually loaded some of these agents with actual crypto in their wallets, and they're doing testing on LeoDex every single day. So at the end of the day, you've got thousands of iterations that are happening, thousands of smoke tests and real live swap tests that are happening on LeoDex beta. And then when we're happy with a release, when we consider it stable, which is pretty regularly, then we push from beta to production. So part of LeoDex V2, you'll see this V2 icon in the bottom left. So if you click this, you can actually see that, and I'm obviously on LeoDex.io right now. You can see that we're on version 2.0. We're on the stable release because production is always going to be the stable production release. And then you can click switch to beta, which will give you this little notice, and then you can go continue to beta or stay on stable. So for this walkthrough, I'm just going to stay on stable. But you can switch between beta and production, obviously. So if there's a new feature we roll out and we're looking for people to test, we'll obviously put out announcements, X posts and threads and whatnot. And then you're welcome to test them on beta if you want to be, kind of on the bleeding edge of whatever's new. And one of the things that we just recently had in beta was actually the chain flip DCA. So we always, on the old version of LeoDex, we always defaulted to DCA. But sometimes people want to just do like a normal swap. They want to just do like the faster option effectively. So this is actually a new feature on LeoDex V2 where when you select a route that supports different swap modes, the LeoDex V2 UI will actually give you the choice. So the default is always going to be the one that gets you the best price. So the one that will get you the most crypto, like the most bang for your buck. So that for chain flip is obviously called DCA, where it's kind of splitting your swap into smaller swaps and then performing them in a kind of succession order to try to get you the best price. And then you also could change to regular mode, which will be like just a regular, like, here's the full swap all at once, and then it gets you obviously whatever price it gets you. So this is actually probably one of the most requested features from LeoDex V1, but it was so hard to build into the existing interface that we decided to punt it to V2, and you can see now that it's live. So any protocols that support different swap modes will have this. So you can compare here, like I can go to Thorchain, also supports streaming. On Thorchain, it's obviously called streaming swaps. So this is a new feature with V2, is if you, for example, want to swap 100 ETH to 3 Bitcoin, you can either choose to do a streaming swap, which will get you the best price. So you can see you're getting an extra $21,000 with streaming, or you can do a regular swap, which will be faster, but you're going to have obviously the price impact of just doing the full swap at once. This also is supported on Maya. So those are the 3 protocols that support this. Is Thorchain, Maya, and Chainflip have this, as like a built-in feature, so you can see the difference between a streaming swap and a normal swap. Obviously, in most cases, it's going to make sense to do a streaming swap. That's why we always default to it. But there are definitely cases out there where people just want the fastest swap possible. And then if you want to do a rapid swap on Thorchain, you actually don't select it in the interface. You just select a normal Thorchain swap, and then it will do it. The interface actually like intelligently will decide, should I do a rapid swap or not? And it's actually not the interface deciding it. It's the LeoDex backend, which is called LeoKit. So if you don't know, we also have leokit.dev, which is our SDK for cross-chain swaps. I'll just switch this really quick. I know this is a LeoDex V2 walkthrough, but I got to mention that LeoDex V2 is powered by LeoKit. So LeoKit is our SDK that allows anyone to integrate 107 different DEXs, with a simple API. So this is what's powering swaps, quotes and actual swaps on LeoDex is LeoKit. So this is driving the backend. But when you do a rapid swap on Thorchain, it will intelligently decide how to perform that swap in the best possible way for you. So that's how rapid swaps work. And I've kind of by proxy shown you a little bit of this new UI for route selection. So on the old LeoDex, you basically saw like all the different routes were in this page here. So you would kind of like scroll through and just see all the different routes, and you obviously can sort them. So you can still sort all the different routes here. But the actual route selection was like a little clunky because, for example, and especially as we started adding more protocols, because now we support more protocols than ever before, you'd have to kind of like scroll through all the different options and try to figure out what you liked best. Obviously, we had some like smart sorting around the best price and things like that. But I think the new methodology is much better, where LeoDex will suggest to you the best route based on price, based on time. So we've got our own algorithm for that. So we will suggest to you a certain route. For example, here, I actually have Thorchain selected, but let's switch back to all protocols. You can actually see it's suggesting Rango as the best and cheapest for this specific swap. So you obviously can select different routes if you want. Like, let's say you prefer, near intense or Thorchain, or perhaps you want something a little faster. You can see that Chainflip is the fastest swap for this specific route. So you can choose other routes. Obviously, it gives you the alternatives. You just select one and then it goes back up to the hero. Or you can just go with the default one that LeoDex decides is the best route for that swap. So that shows the full breakdown in the hero card here. And then you obviously can click this caret and you can see all the different fees, the network fees and the actual route it's going through. So for Chainflip specifically, it's going to go from your 100 ETH into USDC and then output to Bitcoin. The new route selector, I think, is a lot cleaner. This was another big request that people had, which is, can we just make this experience significantly better? We could, how can we improve it so that it's less like information overload for a new user? So this was our solution, is come up with something where you've got the hero, and then you've got, if you'd rather switch it to an alternative, you can just easily, click to switch it here, and then all the different protocols are supported. So I think this route selector is a lot better. Again, LeoDex V2 is going to feel very similar to V1 in pretty much every way. it's just going to feel better, in my opinion. We just kind of took all the, all the great parts of LeoDex V1 and just made it better for V2 while building, those two critical things I mentioned, which is agent in the loop and just overall like a better architecture for us to continue adding more features. So that's the route selector. I'm just going to kind of run through a few of these features as part of this walkthrough. Launch party. I see DKid commenting in the threadcast. Yeah, there are agents now that are testing, so that will contribute. And yeah, we gotta bump the revenue up for LeoDex. So we can talk about that with the new Leo page actually in a second. So before I get to that, probably one of the other major redesigns that I really like is the new token selector. So I think this is just like a much better experience if you remember what the V1 version looked like. V1 just kind of looked like the baby version of this, like it just wasn't fully fleshed out. This one's like significantly better. So basically it's pretty self-explanatory. You've got all your different assets here. So if you're logged in, which I obviously am signed in with MetaMask right now, you can see your tokens. So it's showing me, the different tokens I hold sorted by the value of my balance. And then if you keep scrolling, it'll take you to the rest of the tokens. We support pretty much every single crypto that is on the planet. So you obviously can go through the full list here. And it's really easy. You can search by tokens. And again, like you can do the Bitcoin if you want. It makes it easier to search that way by designating what blockchain. Like if you want to do, switch back to this. If you want to do ETH.USDC to get USDC on Ethereum, obviously you can do that. So it allows you to just search really easily from there. The send UI is pretty much the same UI as before, just a little cleaner. And then the swapping experience is a lot better. Let's see if I can actually just do a live swap without too much headache here. Let's see if I do a arg.leo. I'll buy a little Leo here. Let's just do like a $10 swap. And we'll do it. So you can see we've got a few different options here. So this is actually a new route that is available in LeoDex. It's called D-Bridge. So we've added several new protocols from the V1 to V2 jump. D-Bridge is one of them. 1inch is another one of them. And there's a handful of other aggregators that we've added to get to the number of DEX coverage that we have. But there's now well over 107 different DEXs that are supported on LeoDex. So when you put in any crypto to any crypto, you're going to get the best possible route that there is. I'm 100% confident in that, that there is no better interface that you can go to where you're going to get every single cross-chain route that's out there. So we've got all of them. So you can see even for Leo, which is a relatively, like Leo is obviously the token of LeoDex. Leo is a relatively small token. It's not listed in that many places. You can see even on something like that, we have 4 different available routes here. And each of these have multiple DEXs because these are aggregators. So like Rango and Relay, for example, are looking at multiple DEXs at the same time. Maya obviously has Leo listed directly. So let's go with Maya for this one. We'll just do a normal swap because it's small. I think you can actually see the UI defaulted me to a normal swap. It also will explain to you what a streaming swap is if you hover right here. So let's do a normal swap. You can see the new the review swap is a cleaner experience, but overall looks pretty much the same as V1. Let's hit confirm, and then you can see the new. Oh, I gotta stand by. I gotta confirm this in MetaMask. Let's see here if it lets me. There we go. So I just confirmed that in MetaMask, and now you can see that I'm swapping. So I'm swapping ETH to Leo. You can see this is like a completely rebuilt transaction tracker. Probably one of the most requested things on V1. I know we're kind of saying there's a lot of requests because there were a lot of piled up requests of things that we could improve from V1 to V2. One of them was the transaction tracker. So people just wanted a better transaction tracking experience. What we did before was we basically just showed you the transaction that you're doing, and then you would have an option to like click out and track it on other explorers. but there were a lot of gaps in that. Like a lot of explorers have downtime and just generally don't work that well. And then people want to stay on the UI and see what's happening without leaving the UI. So we wanted to add something that's like a real-time, like highly intelligent tracker directly on site. So that's what we've built here with the new tracker. So you can see this is in real time. It's showing swapping, processing. It also says you can safely leave this page. Your funds are secured and the swap will complete automatically. So kind of telling you, like, you know, if you crash or close the page or whatever, nothing bad is going to happen. It's the swap already completed. But before the swap completed, it also said something, this is taking longer than usual. That is based on, excuse me, that is based on the expected time that we are told by the protocol. So I think Maya told the interface that the swap should only take like 30 seconds, and it took longer than 30 seconds. So the tracker will just tell you that it's expecting it to take a little longer. So it's not like anything bad. It's just mainly just for the user experience to understand that, like, you know, the swap's taking longer than it should, but not a big deal. Like, it's not like anything's wrong. So more just a status indicator. And then you can see that it auto completed. So once the swap was done, the tracker completed, showing me that, you know, ETH went to Leo. You can actually see my Leo balance already updated. I didn't have to click anything. So my balance here is now 477 Leo. I can also click to track the swap. You can click for the technical details. You can look at the inbound transaction, which will take you to Etherscan, because I obviously did this on Ethereum. Or you can go to tracking the swap, which is the same as this button, which will take you to the Midgard. In Maya's case, it'll take you directly to their block explorer. Obviously, if you did like a relay swap or a chain flip swap or a near intent swap, it would take you to the according transaction tracker for those chains. So really cool experience here, in my opinion. I think it's significantly better than what we had before. That was probably one of the biggest redesigns of V2. So that is how the swaps work. I feel like that's a pretty good example. Obviously, you can do, you know, any swaps, and you can do all sorts of different chains. If you click swap again, it's basically just going to pre-fill the exact same swap you just did, and then you can, like the name suggests, you can do it again. So below this, this was actually an idea from someone on our team that I think was super, super smart. You know, we were talking about building a landing page, and then we were like, well, why don't we just make the home page the landing page, right? So like on V1, you would go to the page and you would literally just see this swap and routes section. You wouldn't see anything else. So, you know, it wouldn't, you know, it basically wouldn't really tell you what LeoDex was, who LeoDex is. Like, it wouldn't really give you like any information whatsoever about LeoDex. So one idea was, you know, like, let's build a separate. It says my connection was lost on Restream. I think I'm back. So it would tell you, you know, the landing page would like explain to you what LeoDex is, but then someone on our team was like, why don't we just make the home page the landing page? So that's what we ended up doing. So now when you go to LeoDex, you'll obviously see this little hero section up here. But if you scroll, you'll see, let me refresh because it looks better when you first load in. So when you scroll, you'll see that it's actually a full landing page. So this is all real-time data. The total volume on LeoDex, 55 million, over 13,000 swaps, 18 chains, which I think is actually a little underselling how many chains we have covered, and 15 protocols and 107 DEXs, 10,000 plus crypto. So yeah, I think the chains are a little understated. It's probably pulling from something on LeoKit that we can check. Live fixing. So yeah, this chains number is more, but all these other numbers look accurate. But it's basically just telling you like the real swap volume. This was a cool idea too, kind of sharing some of the top recent tweets about LeoDex from the protocols that we support. Recently, Dash was launched on near intents, and LeoDex was the first interface to support Dash swaps on near intents. So you can see the official Dash tweet here. And if you click these, it'll take you actually to X, where you can see, you know, all those posts. So, you know, and then obviously as new ones come out, it'll kind of show you more. And then if you scroll, I think this is probably one of my favorite sections of the landing page, which is you can see LeoDex's costs versus other UIs. in the space. LeoDex is one of the cheapest interfaces that are out there. We have one of the lowest swap fees. Obviously we believe in, decentralization. We believe in, giving back to the users and allowing users to like keep the most of their crypto while also supporting the Leo token economy. So 100% of swap fees go to Leo stakeholders, Leo token holders, which we'll get into in a second. But we do charge a small swap fee, which is much lower than all other interfaces. So you can actually play with this and put different swap amounts in. If you do $1 million swap, LeoDex is $4,200 cheaper per million versus MetaMask, for example. So that's what it's showing you here. And then you can kind of compare it to other interfaces. So, like people on ThorSwap are paying $500 more per swap. People on Shapeshift are paying $1,500 more. Ledger users are paying $4,000 more, et cetera, et cetera. And then some wallets charge crazy fees, like Exodus charges a 2% swap fee. So if you did this swap on Exodus, you'd pay $20,000 in fees. If you did it on LeoDex, you'd pay about $4,500 in fees. So you'd pay $16,000 less, essentially. Swaps happening now. So this will show you basically like some of the most popular swap routes that are happening. Obviously doesn't show you any data about the users or things like that, but just shows you like the top most popular recent swap routes live from LeoDex. And then this shows you, a bunch of the different blockchains we support, kind of this nice little slider. So that's it. That's the landing page. That's the swap page. That's the tracker. That's the routes. Obviously I showed you sort a little bit, token selector. I didn't really show you the wallet connection. So let's look at the wallet connection a little bit. This is really similar to V1, just kind of new and improved. So it uses like a more glassmorphic design. I think it's a much cleaner, better design, honestly. You can connect with whatever wallet you've got. Click MetaMask, it's super fast also. So we support a bunch of different wallets at launch, pretty much all the same ones as V1. We've got MetaMask, Kepler, Coinbase, Phantom, Control, Trust Wallet, Talisman, Voltisig, TronLink, Solflare, Ledger, Keystore. And then if none of those options are available for you, we've got Wallet Connect, which has like 500 plus other wallets that you can connect to directly through Wallet Connect. So pretty much any crypto wallet can be connected on LeoDex. Obviously like no KYC, it's just connect your wallet and then it's you and the protocol. And LeoDex, what LeoDex really is like a vessel to the protocol, right? And we try to keep it as clean of an experience as possible, where when you go to LeoDex, you literally just see, directly from the protocol, all of these quotes and routes and swaps, they're all coming just straight from the protocol. And we're like big purists in that sense, which is, we just want to give you like a very simple, clean, low fee experience of all these different protocols, in one nice wrapped up interface. So that is like really the crux of the update here. The rest of the stuff is pretty much ported from V1, just rebuilt for V2. So we will, kind of continue to make improvements on the V2 interface. Like I said, now we can do things significantly faster. One thing we improved significantly is the dashboard. So the dashboard on LeoDex V1 was pretty good, but this is kind of what we were ultimately going for, was a dashboard that looked more like this. Which is a significantly better experience in my opinion. So you can see your portfolio, you can see the balance history. Obviously this is like a testing wallet, so there's not much here. And then you can see the transactions. I really like the transaction tracker. You can track all the swaps you've done. You can track, just general send receive transactions. You can sort by different chains. You can actually see here receive Leo because I just did this ETH to Leo swap. And if you click on it, you can see the swap details here. So this is brand new as well. And then if you go from there to the TCY page, obviously I'm connected with MetaMask, so I don't have a ThorChain wallet connected. But this looks pretty much the same as LeoDex V1. The Leo page we were kind of talking about a little bit. We did a redesign on the Leo page. So if you don't know, Leo is the token for LeoDex. You can buy and stake Leo on LeoDex, and you earn a percentage of the fee income from LeoDex. So basically, whenever someone swaps on LeoDex, that 0.45% fee is charged, and 100% of that fee goes into the staking pool for all Leo token stakers. So if you stake actively on the LeoDex interface, you just go here. Actually, I could probably just do one. Might be fun to do it all live. If you go here, you just click 5. I'm just putting 5 in here, or you can obviously change the amount. So if you have Leo in your wallet, you just put the amount, click stake, and then it will add it to your Leo balance, which is staked Leo. When you stake Leo, you then can harvest USDC every single day as it rolls in from LeoDex. You can see some critical stats here. So the total value locked, obviously a little over 7 million Leo staked. Leo is a non-inflationary token, so there's 30 million Leo that exists now, and that amount of Leo does not increase. There's no inflation. The current Leo price is a little over 3 cents. The current yield, obviously not that high with V2 just going live. And the staking ratio is 23.6%. So 7 million out of the 30 million is how you get that number. Let's see what else here. Total Leo burned. So over 500,000 Leo has been burned. If you're curious about how Leo gets burned, so basically there's 30 million total Leo. If 500,000 has been burned, that means there's like 29.5 actual circulating Leo that's out there. The burns come from bridging fees. So Leo exists on multiple blockchains at the same time. So it's on Hive, it's on Arbitrum, it's on Polygon, and Binance Smart Chain. And whenever a user, the native Leo is on Arbitrum, whenever a user wants to unwrap from one of those other chains to Arbitrum, or wrap their native Arbitrum Leo to, say, Binance Leo, for example, which is B Leo, they pay a small bridging fee. That bridging fee is paid as Leo and then burned. So this 500,000 Leo burned comes from the bridging fees of people moving between blockchains. So you'll actually see this burned figure go up over time. Basically, as more Leo moves across chains, more Leo will get burned from that protocol revenue. And then there's protocol owned Leo, which I think on the analytics page we'll get a little more detail on. So if you click the analytics tab, you'll see protocol owned Leo is at 382,000. So the protocol has a wallet, basically like a treasury wallet, and that has a certain amount of Leo in it. This was from the early days of LeoDex, where the Leo contract wasn't live yet. All the revenue that was earned was then put into this wallet, where it would then buy Leo, and then it would buy Leo and then hold it. And now that Leo is live, obviously now the LeoDex revenue flows into the Leo contract. The protocol owned Leo is staking Leo and earning its fair share of the LeoDex fees. And every day it then takes those fees, it harvests them, and then it buys Leo and then auto compounds them. So it creates a permanent buying cycle for Leo tokens, which really just comes from the Leo contract and its share of that. So other than that, all this stuff is pretty similar to V1, just redesigned. So feel free to go there and play with all this stuff. Referrals blog, kind of all similar to V1. I did forget to mention, we completely rebuilt the wallet page. So if you remember, when you click your wallet, something slides out from the right. So this is the same functionality as V1, but on V2, we completely rebuilt this and made it, I think, 100 times better. So you'll notice that this section is very similar to V1, where you see each blockchain, you see your balance of tokens there. It's obviously sorted by balance and USD value. You can also select and add multiple wallets, so you can connect with more than one wallet at the same time. Let's see if I can do this here. So you can see here now I've got Kepler and MetaMask selected, and I can just like flip between them really easily. So it's obviously a nice user experience. You can now see that it says multi-chain portfolio up here, and you can just switch between them. The really beautiful part of this is if you have multiple wallets and you connect them, you can do swaps from one wallet to the other wallet and vice versa very easily and seamlessly on the interface. So that's kind of the beautiful thing about having multiple wallets connected. That's why we really built the feature. And then this new total balance, I think, just makes it a much cleaner, better experience. When you open it, you can just like quickly see everything you need to see. So I think it's much better. You can obviously hide your balances too. You don't want anyone to see them. go into privacy mode, which actually is a new feature that we're coming out with soon. Transaction history looks very similar to the old one. So obviously you can just click your transaction history, and then you can see any swaps you did previously, and the transaction tracker is here as well, which actually takes you to the new LeoKit transaction tracker. We'll have to have a separate launch party for the LeoKit transaction tracker. But that's pretty much the main gist of V2. Again, the launch of V2 is really meant to be everything you had in V1, just better in every way. And then now that we've got V2 live, we're going to start adding more features, which we actually started doing today. So I kind of mentioned this, but the very first feature that we're adding as part of V2 is the swap mode. Obviously for Chainflip, Maya, and Thorchain, those are the 3 protocols that support swap modes. So we've now added this. This is the first V2 feature rollout, which is we've added the ability to switch between DCA and regular for Chainflip, or the equivalent on Thorchain and Maya, which is streaming or normal. And then obviously rapid swaps on Thorchain, like I said, just kind of happen in the background if it makes sense. So that is, that's the first feature release, and we're now kind of set up to do many more features in the future. We're able to add them, like I said, with agents in the loop. We're able to do, much better testing. It is, a significant user experience bump and a UI improvement, in my opinion. So things are just better in every single way, both front end, back end, and even the development workflow. So I think you'll start to notice that very quickly with the pace of new developments and iterations. So my public service announcement, which I always tend to do, and I'll read some comments after this, and then we'll jump off. The public service announcement is to give us feedback. So if you're an existing Leo user, LeoDex user, InLeo user, use the LeoDex interface, give us feedback on things. Now that we have the agents in the loop, all that feedback gets immediately fed into the system, and then we're able to, the agents will do pull requests. So any bugs that you find, any feature requests that you have, those things will get iterated and added faster than ever before. So really important to get feedback. And I keep saying this, but the bottleneck of new development now is really feedback loops. So the faster we can feedback loop, the faster we can improve. So the talk of everything in AI right now is recursive self-improvement. And that's something that we're building very much into LeoDex and all the Leo apps that we have. So the full suite of Leo apps, from our Leo AI team with Rafiki, to LeoDex, to InLeo, to the mobile app. All of these things have recursive self-improvement, where when they're fed feedback, or just when they generally look at the logs on a regular basis, there's agents out there that are asking themselves, how can this be improved? And then they're improving it and then submitting pull requests. So the self-improvement happens literally every single day. So the more you use these things and give feedback on them, the faster that recursive self-improvement happens. So make sure you utilize these things, and LeoDex V2 especially. Give us feedback on them, and we will continue to iterate towards the future. I think probably one of the biggest next features we're going to add is Chainflip lending. So I'll give some more details on that later, but you'll soon be able to manage Chainflip lending directly from the LeoDex V2 UI. So a lot of cool stuff is in the pipeline. I also kind of briefly mentioned the new LeoKit Crosschain Block Explorer. We'll have a separate launch party for that, because it's literally a whole new app. So we'll dive into that some other time. Lukiel said LeoDex V2 looking cool, so many new features. Yeah, there are a lot of new features in LeoDex V2. David said LeoDex V2 is the future. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge moment for us in many ways. But like I said, the two big ones are having an agent in the loop, and then the infrastructure improvements that have been done in terms of the interface. Senor Coconut, you're a little late. No worries. I was a little late too. I had to fix a couple things before we got on air. So definitely had to get busy this morning. Lukiel said, who's popping the championship? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Maybe a March Madness comment. I read through these ones from D-Kid. Let's see. outside communities using LeoDex. Yeah, definitely. MM Online said, is V2 live now? Yes, it is. V2 is now live. Feel free to go play with it on leodex.io. If you want the beta version, you can click the bottom left and you can switch to the beta, or you can just stay on the stable branch if you want the stable version. I see some multilingual questions here. I'm going to let Rafiki take those. But yeah, that should be, that's all I got for the V2 walkthrough for today. And then next week on Tuesday, we will have our normal scheduled AMA for the Leoverse. LeoDex V2 has obviously been a huge focus point for our team. You know, we've been sprinting on it for a few months now. So I'm very relieved and happy to have it live, but it feels like this is where the work really begins, because now we are, like I said, capable of rolling things out even faster than before, which, you know, I think we were already probably one of the leading interfaces in terms of speed to add new features and roll things out. Now, I think, you know, with the agent in the loop and, you know, being on top of the AI curve, I think we're probably the only cross-chain swapping interface that has agent in the loop development. So, you know, I think if we were fast before, we are now 10x faster now. And not only faster, but we are more bug-free, because, you know, agents obviously are able to run thousands and thousands of simulations and find all sorts of edge cases in testing, you know, and we've given our agents actual wallets, you know, from Multisig to MetaMask to Kepler, you know, all the different wallets, Ledger even, you know, we've built all these different wallets into different agents so that they can actually do real live swaps on different routes to make sure that when a user comes to LeoDex, they get the best possible swap with the best possible user experience with no issues. So that is our goal, is just to build the absolute best cross-chain user experience. When you swap crypto, we want LeoDex to be the best way for you to do it. You know, you don't need to go to multiple interfaces to check the price of multiple different, you know, routes. You don't need to go to different interfaces for different wallets. You know, we have it all just baked into LeoDex. That is our vision. You know, my vision is that LeoDex is the #1 place to swap any crypto to any crypto. And I think we're well on our way there. And I think V2 is a major step in that direction. So use the interface, give us feedback. Obviously, this is brand new. You know, we want as much feedback as possible. We've been testing it. You know, the V2 interface has been in testing for quite some time, both with agents and with humans. So we are very happy with the current result. That's why we're live today. But you know, we definitely want more feedback, and we think we can improve even more. You know, this is just really the beginning of what's possible for us. And we've obviously been doing a lot of stuff with AI agents, as many of you guys know. And you know, from whether it's LeoDex V2 or Rafiki with our AI team, or the LeoKit MCP, which was recently launched, you know, where now you can literally give this one-liner to like a OpenClaw agent, for example, and then the OpenClaw agent can trade cross-chain through LeoDex's backend. You know, we're on, I think, at the, you know, very bleeding edge of all of these things. You know, there's a convergence happening with AI and crypto right now. And I want LeoDex and you know, LeoDex V2 and LeoKit to be at the bleeding edge of all of that stuff. So, you know, that is where we live, is the bleeding edge. So things are accelerating very rapidly. So go use LeoDex V2, give us your feedback. Let's keep making the best cross-chain interface that there is. Thanks for watching, and I will